And what I was really struck by today is the first witness in her testimony couldn't be sure of anything except her claim that Brett Kavanaugh was the culprit. She didn't know the year. Her accounts went from mid 80s to early 80s to 80s to 1982. That was just within the last 6 weeks in the 4 different versions that she was walked through today. So she didn't even know the year. She didn't know the house. She didn't know how she got there. She didn't know how she got home. Many of her questions, you had very cloudy. I can't recall. I'm not sure. So she has almost no clear recollections of anything from the entire decade of the 1980s, except that it absolutely has to be this man who happens to be nominated to the Supreme Court. But she's never told that name to anyone until July 2018 for the entire 3+ decades that this took place. And then you match that up with the testimony of Kavanaugh, who not only emphatically denied he'd done any such thing, but gave detailed, specific responses to every single question about every aspect of his life in the 1980s and in high school and in college, showed an incredible command, perfect memory of every single one of these details. And I think it's hard to avoid the conclusion that he's far more credible than she is. If you want to give her all the credit in the world, you could say that it's a push, but there's still no evidence. There's no evidence other than her word. There's nothing to connect him to this heinous crime other than her shaky memories from all these years later. And in fact, the witnesses that she claimed were there all say it didn't happen, including her good female friend at the time. And the other thing that I think really came out of her testimony that is going to help with some of the moderate Republicans is it was clear that the Democrats really played this for maximum political advantage. She came to them with this story. They didn't say, get a cognitive assessment, figure out what happened to you in the non-confrontational environment, get help if you need it. They said the exact opposite of that. They said, get a political lawyer. They recommended Deborah Katz. They said, lawyer up, prep, get a polygraph exam done, and then hold back and watch. And then they leaked this thing on the eve of the vote. And I think that the fact that they were able to show that sequence of dirty play over the last couple of weeks is really going to help them with moderate Republicans. The other thing is she clearly lied about being scared to fly on airplanes. And this was a big point why they said we couldn't have the hearing earlier this week. They were stalling for time. They said she's scared to fly. She can't get on airplanes. She testified today that she took a flight right after her poly from BWI to Providence, Rhode Island. So she's basically taking shuttle flights inside the Northeast Corridor. That's not somebody who's scared of flying. She also testified that she flies all over the world for work and leisure. So they had her lie. Her counsel had her lie, or she lied herself in order to stall this out while they were cooking up the second phony baloney accusation from the New Yorker. So the whole thing really does look like an orchestrated smear campaign, even if she really believes this, even if she just has a mistaken memory and she really thinks this was Brett Kavanaugh for some reason. They've used her as a political pawn in